It seems like every time I come on here, there's always some truth that I have to speak, some uncomfortable truth that I have to speak. But I feel compelled. I feel compelled to speak them because it doesn't seem like a lot of people are speaking about it, so it might as well be me. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Back at it again with yet another video. This one is going to be a bit more serious and slightly controversial. And it has to primarily do with, and I'm not going to take too long on this one, honestly, because I got other things that I need to plan for. But this one is an important topic that I actually want to talk about. And it's in regards to the 2024 presidential election. Now, it's that time of the year again. It's that time of the year where emotions seem to be running high, tensions starting to run high, and then you actually clearly see just how divided the country really is. Now, this isn't a video talking about the presidential candidates, whether it be Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. It doesn't have to go against the philosophies of the liberals and the conservatives. It's not even about that, believe it or not. But it is related to the presidential election, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to talk about, well, initially I was going to talk about some of the things that I've learned during this presidential campaign, but honestly, there's only one thing in mind that I've actually learned paying attention to this presidential campaign. And this isn't coming from someone who's biased strictly for one side or the other. I actually look at all of the sides, and because I eventually look at all the sides, I can actually view things more objectively. Because I'm not emotionally riled up. I'm not caught up in all this stuff, but I do pay attention to what it is that's going on. But more so, this is what the 2024 presidential election has taught me. With less than 2 weeks away, we're going to see who's going to be our president for starting 2025. But here's what the 2024 presidential election has taught me. It seems like regardless of what side of the aisle you stand in, what I've noticed from people, especially during the presidential election, I've noticed a surprising number of people who just have the inability to think for themselves. People just seem completely unable to think for themselves. They believe whatever mainstream, and you shouldn't even be, in my opinion, you shouldn't even be listening to mainstream media anyway. But that's neither here nor there, because it's not even about the media, even though the media does play a role in it. It's about you and your inability to actually be an informed voter and actually do the research. Now, people can respect, generally speaking, I can respect whoever. It doesn't matter who you're voting for in terms of, like, as long as you can actually substantiate why you're voting for a specific individual without actually having to talk about the other person. But if you can actually make sense based on your own research and your own logic as to why you're voting for a specific candidate, and it doesn't even have to be a presidential election, it could be the local elections. And this isn't just in regards to the presidential election, because how you do anything is how you do everything. So this actually bleeds into other aspects of your life. But what I found is that most people, the vast majority of people, are voting completely uninformed and ignorant about what is actually going on out here. And it's unfortunate because you're doing yourself and you're doing the country a disservice because you're unwilling to actually be an independent thinker. You have to be able to think for yourselves. Critical thinking is genuinely a skill. So when you hear this trope that most people just don't know how to think and stuff like that, because at first I was confused too, until I realized just most people really don't know how to think because they don't know how to think critically. And again, this isn't a video talking about who's for what and who's against what. It's not even about that. It's about why people are operating based off of ignorance. Most people just quite simply do not do the research, and it's unfortunate. Whatever talking points that they hear from this person or that person, from this outlet or that outlet, they just repeat and regurgitate those same talking points without actually doing the research. And when you call them out on it, they can't really defend them. And this can go for either side. And the inability for people to not think for themselves and be sheep is wild to me. It's surprising. Just the inability to actually go out of your own way and do some research to be more informed on the issues and the policies and the candidates and how that's going to have an effect down the road and whatnot. Like, y'all genuinely just don't do your research. You vote purely based off of ignorance, and it's unfortunate. It truly is unfortunate. Out of everything that I've actually learned and pay attention throughout this whole presidential election, that's the number one thing that I've actually paid attention to and I actually learned the most. It's just most people's inability to think for themselves. It's very easy, especially during times like these, and especially with topics as sensitive as politics, to fall into groupthink. And I want to advocate for you guys to not fall into groupthink and actually learn to think for yourselves. You don't have to agree with this person or that person or this issue or that issue or this policy or that policy. It's not about that. You can civilly discuss your disagreements, and even that is a rarity in today's world because everything's so completely polarized. If you think one way, then you're this person. If you think one way, like for example, you could think something completely random. You could be called this name, that name, this name, that name, and you may not actually be any of those. But the fact that you actually believe on it and you stand on it makes you what it is that they call you, so they say, but you're actually not. And this is very dangerous rhetoric because people can't discuss their differences civilly. I mean, they can hardly discuss whether they like pineapple on pizza or not civilly. And trust me, I'm one of those because I think if you actually like pineapple on your pizza, you're a monster. But that's my opinion, right? At the end of the day, I'm not going to fault you, and I'm not going to put you in this category of irredeemable group of people or irredeemable people or individuals just because you like pineapple on pizza. You just like pineapple on pizza. It's cool. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. It's an atrocity to me personally. And I don't even eat a lot of pizza, but I respect the fact that people actually like pineapple on their pizza. This is why I say how you do anything is how you do everything, or how you do everything is how you do anything, or however it goes, right? Because it spills into every other aspect of your life. And this also spills into this presidential election. Listen, you don't have to believe the same things that either I believe or she believes or what he believes. We can respectfully disagree and civilly discuss our differences of opinions. My main thing is, can you back up your opinions? Can you back up your points? Can you substantiate your arguments? And you can only really truly do that if you actually done the research. And most people just haven't not done the research, and it's unfortunate. I don't know how many times I have to say unfortunate, but I can't say it enough. It really truly is unfortunate because you're primarily operating out of ignorance and hard-headedness. You can wave in someone's face all you want. Hey, look what's happening. Look over there. Look what's happening. It's happening right before you. They will see it with their own eyes and still reject it. People are weird like that. And that's something that I've learned during this presidential election is that no one's actually humble enough to be honest and tell the truth and be authentic. What's wrong with saying, okay, you know what? I was wrong on this. I was off on this, or I apologize. Or okay, it's okay to change your opinion and perspective. As more information comes in, as new knowledge comes in, it's natural to evaluate that knowledge, to prove the validity of that information, and to come with your own conclusion. And oftentimes, what I found is people are too proud and too arrogant to admit that they're off. And it's okay. It's okay to change your opinions. It's okay to change your beliefs. In the face of new information and new knowledge, it's okay to reevaluate your previous way of thinking. It's okay. It's okay. And just kind of interject a little bit and trying to kind of prove my point on this. A lot of people don't like Kamala Harris, for example, because she seems inauthentic. I've seen a CNN town hall meeting, and Anderson Cooper called out on the fact that, hey, listen, you were mocking Trump on this wall, this and that, but it seems like you're actually allocating all this money to support it. So do you actually think it's a dumb idea? So you don't think it's a dumb idea anymore? And she could not just listen. Authenticity is key in all aspects of life. If you are wrong and if you were off and if you have a change of perspective, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means that maybe your way of thinking previously was wrong, and maybe you just have a change of perspective in the face of new knowledge and new information. That's just one example. There are many other examples. And this doesn't just strictly refer to Kamala Harris, but it just, again, it proves my point. It's okay to say that you were off. It's okay to change your perspective on some things here and there. What's not okay is just blindly going along with groupthink and blindly going along with what people are telling you to be true, and you're just taking it at face value without actually doing the research on your own end, without actually looking up on your own. Listen, y'all have all these phones. I wish I could bring up my phone as a prop, but it's charging right now. Y'all have these phones. Y'all rather scroll on social media to actually do the research onto which candidate or which policy is best for you long term. And again, that's wild to me. That shows your lack of priorities. And I guess, I don't know, maybe thinking's too hard for y'all. Maybe it's too difficult for you guys to actually think for yourselves. That's why most people are sheep, and that's why most people are so easily controlled. It's easily to emotionally... Have you noticed, especially during the presidential elections and any political campaigns whatsoever, even on the local levels, that they actually try to poke at your emotions because it's easier to manipulate you through your emotions. Have y'all noticed that? Probably not, because you're caught up in that wave, in that groupthink yourselves. It's okay to say that you were off. And... listen, man, like I'm not going to take too long on this. I'm actually going to close with this, and it's quite simple. I'm encouraging you guys. I'm advocating for you guys to actually do your own research and to think for yourselves. Learn to think for yourselves and come up with your own opinions and your own perspectives, and you need to back them up if challenged. You need to learn to back them up with research. Do your own research. If you believe in something so fervently, try to disprove it first. It's part of the scientific method. Try to disprove it first so you can actually test the validity of it. And that's in everything, not just politics, but in everything. But y'all need to stop operating like sheep out here. And y'all need to I'm encouraging guys to learn to think for yourselves. It's okay to not agree with everybody. It's okay to have people have a difference of opinion than you. It's not okay to just go along with something just because somebody told you that it's so, and just because someone said that's how you need to think. Don't let people think for you. Actually learn to think for yourself. That's the number one thing that I've learned during this whole 2024 presidential election, is the inability of people to think for themselves and do their due diligence and do their own research before making life-altering decisions such as voting, for example. Not just in politics, but with everything. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. So, yeah, just be an independent thinker, please. I don't care who you support, just be an independent thinker at the very least. Come up with your own opinions and perspectives, and don't go along with talking points. Actually have your own thoughts, okay? Till then, I'm going to see y'all in the next one. I'm just disappointed. I'm sorry, I'm just disappointed that people just operate like sheep out here, but it's whatever. It is what it is. That's human nature for you. Deuces.